Okay, so in the last tutorial we discussed about the implicit objects in the JSP, and we discussed that there are 5 implicit objects, that is request, session, application, response and the out. So in today's tutorial we discussed about the next thing, that is the JSP action elements. Till now we have discussed about the JSP tags, like scriptlet tag is there, expression tag is there, declarative tag is there. But today, and also we discussed about the directives in JSP, like page, and then we have include directive. So today we'll discuss about the JSP action elements. Now, when I told you about the include directive, what actually it was doing is it is used to include the file in the main JSP page. Whenever in my main JSP, suppose this is my main JSP, that is welcome1.jsp, and here if I write the include directive like %@include file second page.jsp, then what happens? The content of the second page.jsp, it gets copied in the welcome1.jsp at the time of translation only, and then in the browser we are in the URL is of a welcome1.jsp only, but the content of second is also being copied. So these directives, they are working at the time of translation. Also we see in that this include contents get copied inside the service method of the welcome1.jsp servlet. So these directive tag like include, it works at the time of translation. That is very good. But say if at the time at runtime I make some changes in second one page.jsp, then those changes will not get reflected in my welcome1.jsp, because if we see the life cycle of a JSP, translation happens first and then accessing the running of the service method happens in the second stage, so in the next stage, so it will not get copied. So we'll be seeing the older content only. So it's not good for the dynamic pages, the pages if we modify at runtime. So in that scenarios we need some tags or some JSP action elements which get executed at runtime, so that dynamic pages can be easily made. So that is what JSP action elements do. It means these are the tags which get executed during runtime of a JSP. Normal JSP tags, like if you have a JSP tags, this work during which phase? This work during translation time. So it's very good for static web pages, and that's copied translation time, and that get copied to the service method at both that point of time. But action elements, all these elements work or get executed during runtime of a JSP page, and that is why it's called action element, because they take action at the runtime. Clear? Okay, so and this can be used for dynamic web pages also. Let's discuss about the first one today, that is a JSP forward. So we'll discuss about the first one, that is JSP forward. Now, as the name indicates, this is used to forward the control from one JSP page to the another JSP page, and this will include the content of second page in the first page, and the URL will be of a first page only. So sounds confusing, but let's see the working of it first, and then I'll explain you a bit. So let me create another JSP page. Let's name it as forwarded page. Let's comment out everything else. Let's not display this for the time being. Let's not use this also. It will play the welcome user. Here I'll use JSP forward, and it takes the attribute named as forwarded.jsp. Okay, yes. So this is JSP forward, page forwarded.jsp. Now what will happen is the flow will be same. First request going to web.xml. From that web.xml, it checks that there is no welcome file. So this is a JSP application which needs to be handled. So it goes to the welcome file, login.html. Here you enter it, it goes to welcome.jsp, and then the URL will be of welcome1.jsp, but the control will be forwarded to the next page also. Let's first see it running, and then we'll see the equivalent servlet also. There is some issue with the server. Let's install it again. There was some issue. So this Apache Tomcat is being now again installed. Let's run this server. Okay, so server has started. Now let's run our application and see the use of JSP forward tag. Okay. Application is being getting deployed on my server. It gets deployed. Enter the URL. Say I enter Ritika as the username and the password. Now see here. Here the URL is of first page only, that is welcome1.jsp. But the control is forwarded to my second page, that is the forwarded JSP, and we get a forwarded page. So this happens at runtime. So here you can see, because I was not displaying anything else, I was just displaying the forwarded JSP page. So the control is moved over here. Now let's see the workspace. See over here. So it has included the forwarded page equivalent in my JSP page. See over here. So it include the JSP page context dot forward to forwarded dot JSP. Rather than including the entire content of that page, at runtime it's showing that you need to forward it to the forwarded dot JSP. So this is the advantage of JSP forward tag, that it works at runtime. In the service we are just going to have a link which will forward it to that page. So if any modifications we do, let's say okay, fine, I just actually let me just modify it. Now I'll just save it. So I've done some changes. I'll just refresh. Let me retry. See, it's showing me the content at runtime. So if I make some changes, so I can get those content in my runtime, because that is just showing a link to that forwarded JSP page. So this is the advantage of JSP forward tag. But if you talk about the include directive which we said, so that is just used to include the contents at translation time. So when it is used when we are having 2 or more JSP pages and they share some work. Like first JSP say do the business logic part, and the second page JSP is just used for display. So what I can do is I can just process my entire application in the first JSP, and that runtime we can forward it control to the second JSP. But here one more thing is there, that when you are forwarding the control to the another JSP page, you can do that with or without parameters. So here this is possible to do with or without parameters. Till now what we did, we just did it without parameters. But say I did some logic in my first part and then I just want to display something in the second JSP page with the parameters I had in my first part. So I can do that. We have a tag known as JSP param. So this is just used to forward the parameters to it. So let's do it. I have passed one parameter, so I can pass multiple parameters. Let's just pass one more parameter. Now in the forwarded.jsp, what I'll do, I'll display those parameters. So I'll say percentage So these two parameters which I passed from the welcome1.jsp, I have displayed it in the so when I'll be running it on server, yes, I want to save the changes. Let me just enter anything, because here we are just doing the forwarded page at runtime. Name is Ritika, due is November. So whatever parameters value I had in my first page, and you can see that the URL is of a first page only, that is welcome.jsp at runtime. This is forwarded along with the parameters, and that has been displayed in the this. So one thing is very important over here, that whenever you are transferring the control from one page to another page, the request and response object of these two objects are shared automatically, and so you can use directly their values in the second page. So this is the advantage of forwarded page. Okay, so then we have the next action element, which is JSP include. This is just same as we do thought of the work of include directive, which used to include the content of second page in the first page. So here it will not copy the content, but at runtime it will include the content of second page into my main page. So at runtime this happens, and we have a runtime library of JSP which does things, and it is very important that since this inclusion happens at runtime, so we can include all the dynamic pages, we go for this, and for static pages we go for include directive. So here you can say that the like header and footer inclusion, which is very important. What actually, suppose we are having 100 JSP pages, then we are not going to write the header and footer in all those 100 pages separately. So what we can do is we can just make one file of header and one file of footer, and then include it in all my 100 JSP pages. At the top header, and at the footer, at the bottom we can include the footer. So this is the advantage of include directive. This is also without parameters. So we'll just see the working of this include action element in the next tutorial.